Hi! Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jess. I make Birdstrips, and I've drawn a bird every day for 960 days. So I get a lot of questions about sort of where I got started and like how did I start drawing birds? Where did I start liking birds? And so I thought, since I am here at my parents' house because of COVID-19, that I would maybe start from the beginning, because I've got like some show and tell. I can show you some early work, and I want to tell you about how I ended up here. And then I would like to take your questions if you have any. So I'll start by saying that I was always quite an artistic kid. And that's okay. So that's me and my mom's friend's bird. And that look on my face is how I always feel around birds, just so excited, so thrilled, especially if they want anything to do with me. Like, I can still remember how that bird sounds. I'm not going to make the sound because that's not my area of expertise. But if you've seen one of those doves, you probably know what I mean. So my love for birds started really early. My mom knows all the names of birds, and so she really passed that on to me through constant osmosis and asking me to pay attention. We always had costumes around the house. Like, my mom always dressed me up, like always painting. I think I have another picture of that. Maybe technical difficulties. Yeah. So there I am at the kitchen table. There were always paints. There was always something interesting to do. So every Christmas I would get paint by numbers. So I have this big bag of dried up paint by numbers paint that I found when I was looking for paint. Yes, this is exactly the picture. So that rock says on the back, Jessica, 6 years old. And my mom is so proud of this. Like, every time I come home to visit, she goes, "Look at this thing you painted when you were like 6." So she loves to show me that. She also recently dug up a picture I drew of, yeah, that's the one. And at the bottom it says, "When the birds go back to save the forest." And she was actually telling me about this picture, and then she found it. She just stumbled across it randomly. She was so thrilled. So she put it on the table for me to share with you today. And so, as you can see, this is just run-of-the-mill childhood art. I always really loved painting. And we had this magnificent book called The Art of Painting Animals on Rocks. And since I'm home, I can show you one of my favorite pieces. It's an owl, look. It even has like a back. Okay, so this is like right out of the book. Just right out of the book. But one day, you're not going to believe this because it's so crazy. Okay, one day, we found a rock. I can't even say it. Okay, we found a rock that already looked like a bird. Are you ready? So this is a rock, and despite having a duck bill, it has a duck beak, sort of, I noted from its sort of vertical statue that it would really make a gray woodpecker. So I looked in the bird book, I think it's like the Golden Field Guide, Birds of North America, and I painted this friggin' woodpecker from the bird book. It has a duck beak, man. It has a bird's beak already. Like, this rock is, anyway, the crowning achievement of my childhood, probably. So I was always painting, always writing. Like, through high school, I painted and wrote a lot. I loved art, but I think maybe because my parents had never seen an example of an artist who made a living with art, like, that just wasn't really a part of our lives. And maybe it was just a general attitude. Like, I wasn't allowed to go to art school. That was not a thing that I was allowed to do. Like, I had to go and I had to get like a real job. So I did. So this kid that loved art and everything to do with I liked social studies sort of, but I liked like the personal side of it. I liked writing, humanities, that's the word. I liked humanities. So I go to school and then I get wrapped up in what would become a computer science degree. When I found out, like the first day that I found out that I had to take like 11 upper level math classes to get a degree, I cried. I cried for a week. I cried doing my homework. I cried in the cafeteria. I cried at night. I cried in office hours. I cried in the classroom. I cried everywhere. But eventually I realized that math is sort of an art of its own. It's an art in its own right. And it became beautiful. I think maybe some people would call that Stockholm syndrome. But I eventually did finish with a degree, and I got a job at a startup that was going through the tech accelerator in San Francisco called Y Combinator. So we went and we lived in San Francisco for 4 months. That's where I met my partner, who is stuck with me still. Yeah, so that it was a really exciting start. I did graphic design, I did data science, I did all that stuff. But then from then on, it was like a downhill sort of thing. Like, just jobs where I guess I started to realize that it was a lot of, I felt like I was sitting inside all the time. Like the offices were like warehouses. Like even if you have snacks at an office, it's still an office. Like you're still maybe working on projects you don't care a lot about. And it wasn't fulfilling me in the way that I expected. Like there's a lot of like magic around tech and like a lot of like fantasy, I guess is the right word. And so it didn't really, over time, like over a couple of years, didn't really sit that well with me. And like by the end of that, I'm like sitting in my desk every day. It's like dark. There's like no windows. I have like sciatica so bad I can't even like walk. Like it's insane. I'm miserable. Every single day I go to work and I think like, I really thought that this was going to turn out differently for me. Like I really thought like, man, like when I was growing up, I thought I was going to be like a firefighter or like, so I don't know. I know that doesn't sound artistic, but it's outside. Like there's a lot of engagement. There's like, you're talking to people. There's camaraderie. There's all this stuff that I really like. Or that I thought I was going to be like, maybe a writer or something. Like I just thought my life was supposed to be so much more beautiful than it was. And then okay, tangent. I'm doing The Artist Way right now, and Julia Cameron says like, when you're stuck, there's always like this door that you refuse to go through. And so the door that I was refusing to go through was quitting my job and just seeing what would happen. One day, the job quit me. I was laid off. Thankfully, someone else opened the door for me because I wasn't there yet. I didn't have the courage to take the leap on what I knew in my heart was true, that my life wasn't supposed to be like that. So thankfully I was laid off. Also, I was evicted in a month, like when my condo that I was living in with my partner was sold by the landlord. So here we are. Neither of us have full-time jobs working for other people. We don't have a place to live. So we took this as like a sign. We bought a one-way ticket out of the country to London, and we just packed up our entire lives into backpacks, like 45 liters. We sold everything, left the country, which I thought was going to be the solution to all my problems. And it wasn't. It turns out that you can't actually escape yourself. Like, I think the thing was that when we were traveling, it was like everyone thought we were having the time of our lives, but I was still miserable. My back still really hurt. I didn't have another purpose. I didn't have another anything. I had nothing. And now I really had nothing because I just abandoned my home of 10 years and all of my friends and all of my community. And I didn't realize that that was actually a big thing that I was going to have to grieve. So, yeah, so I didn't know I had to grieve, so I wasn't grieving it. And one day I thought, well, I need something to keep busy. So I'm going to buy a pad of watercolor postcards. I'm going to send postcards home. And my first postcards were repulsive to me. Like I was trying to draw architecture. I thought maybe I could draw what I see and then send it home and people will love it. But I hated it so much that I couldn't ever send it home. And then my partner, one day we were walking, like I'd always be looking into the trees and saying, oh, like, who's that? Like, what bird is that? That's an unusual thing. Like, we don't have that in Canada. I've never seen one of those. And so he noticed my love for birds and he suggested, what if you just draw like a bird every day? What if you just try it? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start. And so I started. And about 5 days in, I did my first comic and I was hooked. Like, I loved the idea of telling a story through art. And I loved the expression of birds, the way they could express themselves on their face with your pen. And I guess it would be not true to say that I've been hooked ever since, even though it's been 960 days. Like, drawing something every day there was a lot of times that I was going to quit. Like, I swear on the 30th day, I was out of ideas. Complete. But I learned that generating ideas is a skill, sort of. Like, there's things that you can do to bring them out. You can use different strategies. And I think the most important thing is to just keep making. So right now I think I'm at like 965 and I'm hoping to get to 1,000 and then we're just gonna call it. We're gonna call it and then I'm gonna see what happens next, I think. But I hope it's still birds and I hope it's still drawing. Yeah, so that's my story, I guess. Of coming back to this artistic life that I always wanted and felt sort of sad to lose. I'm going to look at the doc and see if you have any questions. Okay. Tracy Diamond asks, how are you? And everyone. And I don't actually see a question, but I want to say hi. Okay. It says, nice to put a face to the artist finally. How are you and everyone here doing today? I actually found Birdstrips because a customer at my job had a t-shirt of yours on. Being an owner of 6 parrots, I had to ask about it. Love your stuff and getting to interact now. Hi, thank you. Thank you for saying. And Amy asks, will it be a Birdstrips book? I really hope so. I am hoping to turn the 1,000 birds into some sort of memoir. Maybe memoir with comics. All the comics. I don't know. Because I can't pick highlights. Like, I go through them and I think, like, if this doesn't make it into a book, it's just never going to be seen again. It's going to be lost. And I love them all, even the bad ones or even the dumb ones, And I don't want any of them to be lost. Suheen asks, making so much Birdstrips so far, does it feel like a habit or something more than that? That's a good question. A habit? I guess it feels like something that I definitely have to do every day without question. It's become like, if I don't do it before I go to bed, I have to get up. Like, there was only one time that I forgot and I sat bolt upright in bed and I thought, I can't forget to do it. So I feel like it's a very intentional habit, I guess. Leah Monty asks, do you still have a day job? If so, what is it? If not, how do you make money? Leo, always asks a lot. I'm not sure if it's Leia or Leah, but we have met, and she is lovely. I do no longer have a day job. The last time I had a day job was when I got laid off. Right before that. I make money from selling prints and mugs and stuff in a shop. I also make money from selling. I don't do commissions very often, but sometimes from commissions. Also on Patreon, there are some wonderful people supporting me with their membership to continue to make great stuff, and I'm so grateful, because that is sort of keeping me afloat in a big way. Yeah, I would say that's how. Do I have a favorite bird strip? Okay, the one that comes to my mind is that one of the robins, where one is making a face like, and he's like, the other one says something like, "Are you trying to lay an egg because you want to say that I'm excellent?" And then the other one goes, "No, poopendous, actually." I mean, man, like, I love a good poop joke. Suheen asks, can you summarize your approach to generating ideas? That's a really good question. I think a lot of it happens because you sit down at your desk, I think. There has to be like equal parts actually sitting down and showing up to like try to get stuff out. So maybe that's writing or maybe that's sketching, but also sort of the rhythmic action of maybe walking or like starting a project and then leaving halfway through to go for a walk and keeping your mind rolling. But sometimes like you need a seed to start an idea. Like sometimes I use a rhyme. Like, I don't know if you remember, but like, if anybody remembers the seagulls that I just did, the like 3 weeks of seagulls rhymes. Like, I think follow the things that you take pleasure in, because I love a good rhyme. Yeah. I guess. I think the most important thing is like to sit down and keep working. Just show up every day and do a little bit of something. Yeah. I think so. There's another one. Okay, so Leia has written in again. You're gonna have to tell me if I said it right. Leia. Yes. I do remember you. Yes. Kartik asks, how excited were you for the Gull Pun run? How did it start? So excited. I think it started when I thought I was just going to do 4 little pieces. Like, I was going to do like a regular seagull, and then I was going to do, okay, a T-gull. And like, I don't even remember the like regal and whatever. So I did 4 of them, and it just brought me so much joy. And I think also when it started to steamroll on the post, people kept making suggestions. And it was so interesting to read rhymes, and it felt like a real collaborative effort. Because some days I would sit down and think like, I feel like I've exhausted them all. I don't have any more ideas. But then someone would come through with like a really excellent idea. Yeah, I love that. There's something so satisfying about a rhyme. Like, there was when we were visiting, so we bought a one-way ticket to London, then we accidentally went around the world. I say accidentally because Australia is a lot farther from Thailand than I would have thought. But there was a couple of weeks where I just did rhymes, like whole sheets of rhymes. Nando asks, are you doing more animations? Proud of you. Clap, clap. I like them. They're hard. They're hard. I love taking the videos. I don't know. I love drawing and I'm so new at it, but it's really exciting to learn something new. So I did a robin the other day, and like this is how many friggin' frames it had to be. That seems like a lot, doesn't it? Like that's a lot of drawing. It's good to hear from you. Okay. I have about 5 minutes left, and someone might be typing another question, but if not, I have. Okay. I have a question in my ear, and the question was, what are you going to draw when you're done with birds? And I think the answer is, I don't know if I will ever be done with birds. But I would love to draw more people, but when I draw people, I just feel I feel such hate for myself. Like it's so difficult to start a new thing once you've gone so far with something, and it's like I've leveled up on bird drawing. I can draw a bird without a reference photo now, but like when I draw a person, even with the reference photo, it is excruciatingly painful. So I think I would like to draw more documentary style stuff, like more about life, and I don't know, but I think birds will always play a part of it. Caroline asks, why did you finally choose the beautiful city of Montreal to live? Great question. So I'm not there now. I'm in the Yukon, but I chose Montreal because I've always wanted to learn French. I've always loved the language, even though, and sort of like followed it around like a puppy, but I've never really gone all the way. And I also, the best dancers in Canada, I don't know, like the most professional swing dancers in Canada that win all the competitions or go to all the competitions are there, and I just wanted to be a part of it. And so I was so thrilled to take tap lessons and join a chorus line and do all that stuff that I just haven't been able to do before. So it's been so beautiful to live in Montreal. Okay. There are some really great questions in this doc, and I feel like there's like 1 minute left. Okay. Question. Richard Foster. Is it more important that your image is a good representation of a particular bird, or that the story, the message the birds generate? I think I feel like sometimes when I look at my work, it's not maybe obvious, but I really do care about an accurate representation of a bird, or like if they're sitting on a tree of some kind, like I really like for the tree to be found in the same space where the species is found. But I also do care about, and I feel like I care about their anatomy. Like I don't want to like bend their neck the wrong way. I want them to be well balanced. Like I really care about that stuff. But I also think that the story and the message is important too. Lesia Vasquez. Do you consider possibly making a movie or a short movie in a near future? I love your art. Thank you for asking. A movie or a short movie? I think that would be really an interesting thing, because I feel like I'm not an academic, so I don't know if this is true, but I feel like it's sequential art in a way. But it's a different challenge because the story is more than 4 frames. So I feel like I would love for that kind of thing to be an option in the future. I'm really excited for whatever is next, and I don't know what it's going to be. Okay, so we are out of time. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for your questions. It's really cool to be here talking to you, and thanks to MCAF for putting this whole thing virtual. Yeah, and so you can find me everywhere on social media at Birdstrips, and that's basically it. Thank you so much.